Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, we'll take a look into Spring Data JPA internal execution flow. Whenever we perform any database operation using Spring Data JPA, then this flow will be executed internally. Whenever we call JPA repository methods from the service layer, for example, if you want to save an entity into the database table using Spring Data JPA, so that we need to inject a JPA repository in the service layer and we call it save method, and then we pass the entity as a parameter. Actually, JPA repository is the interface, and Spring Data JPA provides simple JPA repository class which implements JPA repository interface as well as its methods. And Spring Data JPA will provide the flexibility to write our own custom repository implementation class also. In this case, we are using simple JPA repository class which implements JPA repository interface. Observe here, Spring Data JPA internally uses JPA APIs. That means Spring Data JPA is the abstraction layer on top of JPA to reduce the boilerplate code. All the Spring Data JPA methods internally uses JPA APIs to communicate with the database. So Spring Data JPA internally by default uses Hibernate as a JPA implementation. We can say JPA provider also. Here we are using Hibernate as a JPA implementation. Then JPA API internally call Hibernate core APIs will pass required parameters. Then Hibernate will generate the SQL queries based on the method call. For example, if you want to save the data into the database, then Hibernate will create insert SQL query and then it will internally call JDBC basic APIs, and then JDBC basic API will internally talk with the database. This is the execution flow whenever we perform any database operation using Spring Data JPA. Let's see the summary. Whenever we call the repository method from the service layer and it will pass the required parameters, and then Spring Data JPA internally uses JPA APIs and it will pass the required parameters. And JPA API internally call Hibernate core APIs and it will pass the required parameters. And then Hibernate core API will generate the SQL query based on the method call and it will bind all the values. And then Hibernate core API internally uses JDBC APIs to talk with the database. This is a standard execution flow followed whenever a database operation is performed using Spring Data JPA. Okay, I will see you in the next video.